Stay tuned for a little conversation about routines, morning routines, good routines, bad routines, us reacting to crazy routines, and what we're doing in our lives right now. I'm Harrison.
And I'm Ameer, and we believe that one of life's most valuable assets is the gift of conversation.
In the midst of life, sometimes we forget the true power of a deep, meaningful conversation.
So take a breath, come join us,
and let's talk about life.
Today, Harrison and I are going to be talking about routines. We both did some research and uncovered some interesting and noteworthy routines from successful or famous people or infamous people that we're going to talk about today. So I'll open it up with you, Harrison. What is a routine that you found while doing some research
so I got
today?
a couple, and I probably went a little bit of a different route than you did, potentially. So I went, these are ridiculous routines.
Okay.
Right? So, because this is an interest, I'll hear your thoughts in a sec, but for me, this is a kind of a passionate. I have a passion for this topic because I think after spending so much time in the podcast world editing for some of these people, and it's really easy for experts to talk things up and be like, I'm better than you. It comes across condescending. I do this every day, and if you don't do this every day, you're terrible. And they don't say that directly, but I often get that feeling. And then because I spent so much time, working for the podcast that I do and listening to guests and all these things, and then I've realized that, it's like people, they don't do it. It's clear, you can tell they'll contradict themselves or whatever, and you're like, they're not doing it. Why are you making me feel bad? So I want to start with Mark Wahlberg. Have you heard about Mark Wahlberg's?
No, I haven't.
Okay, you know him though, right? Actor.
Yes, totally.
All right, so this is ridiculous. And now there's a video. Maybe I'll link to it. James Corden. I don't know. People have mixed feelings about him, but it was a video of him joining Mark Wahlberg for his daily routine. So if you want to watch it, you could check it out later. So here it is. This is a little thing that I pulled up here. To preface, these are famous, rich people. So this one says billionaire Richard Branson always gets up at 5 a.m. to start his day, right? And then it talks about Elon Musk works 85 to 100 hours a week and gets up at blah, blah, right? And I'm like, okay, we'll get to that. But here we are. Okay, Mark Wahlberg, 47-year-old Hollywood star, recently revealed his entire daily routine, which begins at 2:30 a.m.
What?
All right, and it ends at 7:30 p.m. Now I'm gonna just skip over this. I'm gonna read to you. This is from Mark himself. This is his routine. 2:30 a.m. wake up. 2:45 a.m. prayer time. 3:15 breakfast. 3:40 to 5:15 workout. 5:30 post workout meal. 6 shower. 7:30 golf. 8 snack. 9:30 cryo chamber recovery. 10:30 snack. 11 a.m. is when work starts. We got family time meetings and work calls. 1 p.m. is lunch. 2 p.m. meetings and work calls. 3 p.m. pick up kids from school. 3:30 snack. 4 workout number 2. 5 shower. 5:30 dinner and family time. 7:30 back to bed. So I wanted to start with that. If you're not watching, Ameer's face.
He's like, the hell?
So I thought you may have heard of this. So this is an example. Why I want to bring this up is this is an example of a ridiculous routine. And now, if you continue to read on this article, it goes, before you write off this routine as total nonsense, don't forget that according to Forbes, Wahlberg took home $68 million in 2017 and was the highest paid actor of that year. Everyone's daily routine will be part of their success, essentially is what it's saying. So this is where I have a problem with it. Because they're going that's unattainable, right? That's ridiculous. Obviously, it works for him. Maybe he's doing it. Who knows if he's doing it for himself or if it actually, who knows? But it's not attainable for everybody. But then my problem with the whole routine thing and people sharing routines and being like, this is what you should do. It's good to have advice. We've talked about that. But when it's that kind of thing, and then you're like, well, he made $68 million in 2017. How much did you make? It's like, well, there's other factors here. It's not the fact that he gets up at 2:30 a.m. And if I don't get up at 2:30 a.m., it doesn't mean I'm not going to make that money or be successful. That's person, true. Right? So that's one. And if you let me go, I'm going to do one more, and then we'll discuss. Do. Okay. The other one is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Do you know his?
Yes, I totally do.
Okay. So for the people that don't, and maybe just a refresher there, I'm going to find it here. His is worse, in my opinion. He gets up a little later. So he wakes up at 3:30 a.m. So, a little sleep-in time there compared to Mark. And he eats five meals a day. He's a big, workout guy,
Oh,
all that kind
totally.
of stuff,
Yeah.
right? But he goes, I need the mental time in the beginning. He does about 2 hours of like alone time once he wakes up till about 5:30. And he says, it's my anchor. Once I'm able to anchor myself, I'm able to go to work. And he said, I'm able to work 10, 12, 14 hours if I know I've centered myself and anchored myself at the beginning of the day. Again, fine if it works for you. But that's not, no, most people can't do that. Like I did a read up the other day for like the average 8-hour workday. People are working less than 3 hours. So a 14-hour workday is unattainable. Maybe he's a anomaly. But my problem with this personally is that he's a big health guy, right? You think of The Rock, you think of he's huge, he's muscular, he works out. He often gets 3 to 5 hours of sleep every night.
Yeah, I've heard him talk about that.
So at least what I've learned, like sleep is one of the most important things. You need to let your body rest and recover and do all these things. You can't work for 14 hours and then go like or like straight, wake up at 3:30 a.m. and only sleep for 3 hours. So those are two ridiculous ones that I just wanted to bring up, and I have my thoughts that I've kind of shared, but I want to toss that off to you and then you can talk about yours. But like, what do you think about the ridiculous morning routines? And then that they're on display for the world as though it's like we should look up to them. That's my problem with it.
Mm-hmm. What the hell? I'm still thinking about Mark Wahlberg. What, you said 2 a.m.,
2:30. He gets up at 2:30. Yeah.
Just thinking about that makes me shudder a little inside.
Crazy.
Yeah. I think, who knows if they're actually doing it? Great.
Right.
Great. There's obviously a reason why they're, I would say like very economically successful and like, but I wonder how the other areas of their life are doing. It sounds like they're making enough time for like self-care and balance and, with good amounts of exercise too, that helps keep your mental pretty clear. But there reaches a point, and I've thought about this a lot when it comes to fitness, but I would argue to say that fitness, or maybe let me phrase physique, like fitness in terms of like bodybuilding and physique is not necessarily the same as health. I would wager to say that you can definitely become huge, muscular, and jacked and still be unhealthy. Right? Because like if you go on a crazy dirty bulk diet, if you're overworking and if you're not getting enough sleep, well, I mean, you do need sleep in order to recover and build muscle. I say this knowing that I am still working up to get some muscles there, but hey, I've been working out pretty consistently. Like that's my routine. I've been working out consistently here. But yeah, I'd say like fitness is not necessarily the same thing as health. And so I just wonder how that works out for them in terms of balance. Like once again, if it works out, great. I think I've heard The Rock, I've heard Dwayne Johnson talk a lot about his morning routine because it's kind of like my gym motivation. And it kind of his entire mentality is to be like the hardest worker in the room, which is great. Like there's something to be said for that. I'm definitely not of the anti-work or anti-hustle movement. I think, there's times and seasons for each thing and it's contextual. But yeah, it's not attainable for everyone. It kind of becomes a status signaling device.
Well put.
Right? It's like, oh, what's your morning routine? Oh, you don't have one? Oh, I do this. I drink lemon water. You just drink normal water in the morning? You look at your phone in the morning? Trash.
Yeah.
Like you glance at a screen. You didn't read for 1 hour, meditate for another 2, and then exercise for 5? Trash.
Yeah.
It's kind of this weird.
Well, you're joking, but that's metric. like the culture around it. That's
totally.
why I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah. That is. Yeah, I really dislike the culture around that, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation. Though, on the other hand, do I think like is hard work important? 100%. I think, and everyone needs to find that balance for themselves. They found something that works for them, right? They have economic success, great. And if that's what makes them happy, great. But I feel like if I were to work at that routine, I don't think I'd be happy. In all honesty, like I don't think I would be happy with that routine. And so I think it's about finding what makes you happiest and what helps you function in a happy, healthy way.
Yeah.
2:30. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I know, hey. I want to hear who you want to talk about, but you just you made a really interesting point. I don't know if you know this. My dad was a bodybuilder for
really
in his 20s, and then he continued on to judge bodybuilding at a high level in Canada. And
Whoa.
so he can, based on conversations we've had, can definitely attest to the fact that you can be, one of the top bodybuilders and have a lot of muscle but not be healthy, because many of them are on steroids and they're putting things into their body, and they're getting the muscle in unnatural ways or unhealthy ways, right? So you're exactly right. It was a little side topic, but just so you know, now you know. My dad was a bodybuilder.
Oh, that's so cool. What the heck? You didn't tell me about this.
Yeah, that's funny.
I see. You got the genes for it. You got the genes. Well, Harrison King next year is freaking ripped. Take off that shirt for us. Let's see. Yeah, that's really cool. For me, the routines that I found is actually complete counterpoint. Complete counterpoint to the ones that you brought up. These are more so routines that, because I had a feeling that you were going to bring up kind of the crazier ones. So I decided to instead look for some that actually more so resemble mine and are a little bit more attainable, just, so that we can see that having a crazy routine isn't exactly correlated with being prolific as a creative or successful, quotation marks. It's not like, is a routine helpful? Yeah, for sure. And I do wish I had more routine, but is it the defining factor? No.
There's so many factors, right? Just for, if we're talking about like economic success or creativity, all of it. There's just so many factors.
Prolific, creative, like prolific. What's the word for that?
Being good at it.
Yeah, how prolific one is.
Right. Yeah.
So, speaking of someone who is incredibly prolific, the daily routine of Picasso.
Look at this.
And I actually found this first by watching Nathaniel Drew's video. Do you know who Nathaniel Drew is?
Yeah, I love him. I haven't watched that video though yet.
I love Nathaniel Drew. I love.
Basically, check him out, people.
Yeah, he's this. He's a YouTuber and he's a storyteller. He talks, about self-development, but not in like a super self-helpy way, but more so like his own experiments as he figures things out. He also talks about travel. I love his editing. He's fantastic. And he has this one series where he basically follows the routines of famous people. So he did an episode on the Dalai Lama, he did Frida Kahlo, and in this episode, he also did an episode on Einstein. And now he did the routine of Picasso. And this is how Picasso's routine goes. Very simple. Very simple. And 11 a.m. is when he wakes up. 11 a.m., breakfast and leisure for 3 hours. 2 p.m., painting. And then from 2 p.m. till 10 p.m., he works. He just paints. 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. 10 p.m. dinner. 11 p.m., he's back to painting. And then he goes to sleep at 3. Simple, right? Simple. Let me reiterate that again. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., breakfast and leisure. 2 p.m. till 10 p.m., painting. 10 p.m. till 11, dinner. 11 to 3 a.m., painting. No wonder he's so prolific. He just dedicates so much of his time to painting, and no wonder why he is one of the most, I keep on using the word prolific, but one of the most seminal artists of the 20th century, or even of all history. You know, what I find most interesting about his routine, and Nathaniel Drew talked a little bit about this, is that at the end of his day, right before he goes to sleep, he has another kind of work sprint from 11 p.m. till 3 a.m., which is interesting because I'm sure you know, as a creative yourself, like the late night inspiration, right? The late night inspiration bug that hits you. And it's interesting that his routine harnesses that in a way, right? I often come up with my best ideas at night, when my inhibitions are, my inhibitions are lower and I'm kind of just, I don't know what it is about late night. Maybe it's just that I'm more tired and I'm more accepting of ideas. Maybe divergent thinking is, more heightened at that time. But that's the one thing I find interesting about his routine. What do you think?
Well, the first thing is notable to me is that you said breakfast and leisure is 3 hours. That's the first thing he does. To reference what the extreme we just talked about, they both gave themselves time for themselves at the beginning. So that is a similarity. But I like the term leisure. I don't know if that's your word or if
That's
Nathaniel.
his term.
Okay, or yeah, Picasso himself put that. I like that because it's like there's no. My problem with routines is that they're restrictive. I find it
Yeah.
restrictive
Mm-hmm.
because it's like I have to follow this every day. Like I feel like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So seeing that, if I had a calendar and I woke up and let's say I woke up at 9 and 9 to 12 is leisure, like there's no stress. What am I stressed about? I can do whatever I want. So I really like that. And no wonder he was literally, like you said, his day was built around creativity. Even that, like he's allowing his mind to do whatever he wants in that time. And then he paints, obviously, which is creative. Wow. What do you think about the leisure thing? That's really interesting.
I like how open-ended it is.
Yeah.
It isn't go to the park and do this. It's not a routine. It's like I think this is something that this is a good topic. This is something that I've thought about a lot. And it's something that I've heard from several of my friends who perhaps like are more go with the flow than I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I would still say like I'm pretty relaxed, but I still have a structure.
Mm-hmm.
Like I still like scheduling things out. I still like scheduling when I have break times.
Mm-hmm.
I like scheduling my rest. And I remember I had a conversation with a friend who was like, how do you do that? If I had to schedule out my rest, I wouldn't be relaxed. And, you know, to each their own, right? Granted, if they probably scheduled it out, they wouldn't feel relaxed. But for me, I find that when I like, it's about scheduling out and creating space for it.
Right.
Right. It's not saying, okay, I'm going to do exactly this. But in a way, when I schedule it out, I'm creating the space for it and I'm making it real. And I'm giving myself kind of a boundary to work within. Right. I'm giving myself a boundary to relax and just enjoy within. And it can be whatever I want. I can watch a movie. I can go cook something. I can do whatever. I like leaving rest scheduled in, but open-ended.
And that's what that is. So I like that. I like that a lot. That's really interesting. Very simple, though.
So that's,
It doesn't have to be complex for it to be, like it is literally the complete opposite. And both ends have been successful. I don't know personally, but like, I guess, in their careers, right?
Yeah, of course, definitely in their careers. I would say this one thing. Nathaniel Drew mentioned this in the video. In further digging, Picasso's like personal life wasn't perfect by any means, artist. Artist. That's all I can say, personal relationships and all that stuff, Yeah. Oh, here's a quote actually from Nathaniel Drew. It's in this. He said this. I'm not gonna lie, this routine, this schedule is very exciting to me in how counter it is to every self-help, self-improvement, and productivity guru out there. How many times have we all heard that we must have a morning routine? This approach essentially obliterates the potential of doing that.
Yeah. Yes. I agree. Exactly. Right?
Yeah, I completely agree. Here's the second one. Okay. This one is okay. Everyone has mixed feelings about this dude, but I like his routine.
Share, yeah, come on.
Yeah, I like his routine. Jeff Bezos.
No, here we go.
CEO entrepreneur, born in 1964. Sing it, Jeffrey Bezos.
Thanks, Bo.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you, Bo Burnham. So one thing I heard about Jeff Bezos' morning routine, or at least routine in general, and I don't know how updated this is, but this is something that I heard before. He doesn't set too strict of an alarm for when he wakes up. He just wakes up naturally when his body wakes him up. Which that first thing I like. Admittedly, he has the money to not really care when he wakes up.
Of course.
Right. But I like that. It starts off the day like relaxed and kind of your body gets what it needs, which I think is an important thing that is not addressed enough in routines.
No.
Right. I think what's most important is creating a routine that works for you, not trying to work for your routine.
Oh, yes. I like that. So
you know
true.
what I mean? So that's what I mean. Like with a 2:30 a.m. wake up morning routine that Mark Wahlberg has, might that work for him? Sure. I don't know. For me, I feel like I would have to work so hard at that to fit myself into a mold that isn't made for me. Right. And so I think what's important in coming up with routines, and I'm going on a tangent here, but I think what's important in coming up with routines is first auditing oneself, knowing, oh, okay, what time do I usually go to sleep, wake up at? Like what's my natural kind of range, my sweet spot? And then going from there and creating things like, oh, where's my energy highest? Where's my energy lowest? And this is actually something that I did back in 2018 when I was really gung ho about like, self-development. And I was reading, oopsies, I'm out of focus. This is when I was super gung ho about self-development, and I was reading every single book about being proactive, scheduling your day, everything. And basically I did this one thing where I created a Google form, and it was a survey that I filled out every hour on the dot. And on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, I would rank my energy levels. How mentally clear do I feel? How energized? How balanced do I feel? And I would fill that out every hour. And then I did that for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, I had a clear chart that showed me, oh, my energy peaks around noon. Then it dips around 3. Then it goes back up slightly around 6. And then it goes down for the rest of the day. And it's been a while since I've done that. Now that I'm talking about it, I feel like I want to do it again.
I want to do it.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's like mapping out your own physical energy levels throughout the day so that you can sculpt something that works for you, so that I know, 12, my energy is highest. Let me put in my most important high creative tasks. Right? 3 p.m., my energy is lowest. Let me put a workout in right there to re-energize myself. Right? Or let me do something that's mundane there. Right?
Have you seen Matt Diavella's video on that?
No,
he talks exactly that exact same thing, which I've been thinking about. It's about I'll see if I can find the video. It's very good. It's a recent one, and he talks about not scheduling based on time or like the task, like just like a most important task. He's like, schedule based on your energy. If you work better, like you're saying, let's say at noon, right, is when you work the best. Write your YouTube script then, because it'll take less time because you've got more the energy for it, and the tasks that require less energy, do them at a time when you have less energy, and like base your schedule, exactly what you're saying, base your schedule around your energy levels and what the task requires, and match those up. Yeah, you should watch it.
Yeah, completely. I'm pretty sure now that you're mentioning it, I'm sure I've watched it, and it was like just on the kitchen, like on the side, and I was just like cooking something, and the video was playing. I'm sure it sounds very familiar.
I love that though. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, like mapping out one's energy.
Jeff Bezos,
all that stuff. Jeffrey Bezos, CEO entrepreneur, born in 1964. Jeffrey Bezos. Okay, so okay, let's see here. Yeah, he is an early riser though. That's when his body usually wakes him up, usually around 6:30. After rising, he's known to enjoy putter around the house in the morning. He'll brew some coffee, read the newspapers, and generally not start work.
Another one.
Look at that again, starting slow, right? Starting with leisure, right? Starting with leisure, taking things easy in the morning. When his kids get up, he prides himself on making them breakfast. Apparently, he's a whiz in the kitchen. Remarkably, he even does the dishes. I'm not sure about that. I know that's cap.
Listen, I would not be doing the dishes if I had that money.
If I was Jeffrey Bezos, cap. Cap. Okay. Afternoons. In the afternoon, he will either have meetings in the wow, that's a sentence. He'll have meetings or visit, do some work stuff. Let's see. Oh, here's an important note. This is something that I've also heard as well, and a point I wanted to bring up. His approach is to make a few high-quality decisions per day instead of hundreds of low-quality decisions providing lackluster outcomes. So he actually doesn't do a lot of work, conventionally speaking. He just makes a few really high-quality decisions every single day.
Impactful, right?
And that, I think, is a perfect example of prioritization and the Pareto principle. Are you familiar with the Pareto principle? Gotcha. So the Pareto principle is also known as the 80-20 rule, which is probably a name that you might be familiar with. But basically what it says is that for most things, in almost everything, 80% of the outcome is dictated by 20% of the result. 20% of the input. So once again, let me state that a little better. 80% of the outcome is dependent on 20% of the input. So what's the highest leverage, most important thing that one can do? For us as creators, it's sitting down to record these episodes, right? Or as YouTubers, it's sitting down and writing our script and filming that, right? It's not necessarily the optimization of the tags and the growth hacks or whatever, right? that's the other 80% that creates 20% of the results,
Mm.
right? But what's the biggest primary leverage point that we can create?
Mm-hmm.
And I like,
Yeah.
and now that I'm talking about it, I like the idea of structuring one's day around the most essential things. And obviously, Jeff has the money to be able to do that. Unfortunately, us mere mortals have to do dishes.
Mortals. Feels
We
like
have
that
to do
sometimes.
dishes. We need to, take care of a dog pooping or whatever. Oh, that was really random. We don't
Hey,
even have dogs, but
it's true.
throwing that in there, right? But as much as we can with the time that we have, creating space for high quality decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
I like that. What are some of the similarities that you see across all the routines that we've talked about, from the extreme to the more relaxed and everything in between?
Well, like I said, so those two that you said and the two I said, in different ways, both all take time for themselves. Now, we may argue that Mark and Mr. Dwayne Johnson are not really. Are they? Like, I mean, The Rock talks about how much he loves working out, and that's time for himself, right? Maybe that's it. And it's different. Who are we to say?
Of course.
From an outside perspective. But it seems like at least they are prioritizing into their routine time to do nothing, essentially. You know what I mean? Whether it feels like enough or not to us doesn't matter. But like they said, the starting slow, especially those two that you mentioned. That, and I guess the other thing to note is that they're all different, like dramatically different. And I think that's the important takeaway, is that we talked about 4 people, all of whom have been very successful in their craft, right? Was Picasso successful during his time, or was it after? I don't know much about him. Okay. Just I know there's some people
during and also after.
Right. Yeah. Some people like who was it? Was it Bach or somebody like that? Who didn't really blow up, basically.
Van Gogh.
Yeah, there you go. So until after. Anyway,
yeah.
Successful people, like, in their craft. What was that? Oh, they've all made something work for them, and none of them look the same. There are similarities, but they're all different people, and I think that's what we need to remember, and why I find this challenging. Because if you go on Google and you look up the best morning routine or whatever, you're gonna get all these different ones.
Because we've all done that.
We have, right? And then it's gonna show you, some finance bro is gonna tell you, the way to do it. And if that works for him, it's like what you said before. It's like, if you follow all the steps Jeff Bezos took to get to where he is, it wouldn't work for you. Like, you're a different person. So I think it's like you go shopping, and you're like, I like a little bit of that. I'm gonna put that in my routine. Oh, that might be interesting. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try a little bit of that. And you make your own. And I think that's the thing. And I'm also realizing that, like, I've been thinking throughout this conversation and earlier, I was like, what is my routine? Like, how do I describe it? And I think I'm in that phase of shopping. I'm like trying things out. I'm like, this is kind of working. This isn't working. I don't like this. I've done wake up at my own time. It was good for a bit. And then I'm like, then I'm not getting stuff done in the morning, and I'd prefer to be up a little earlier. So now I'm trying to get up similar time every day. And I think for a while I was like, I don't have a routine every day. And like you said, it's like, people are like, oh, you don't get up at 2:30 a.m. Like,
trash.
Who are you? Yeah, you mortal. Right? But so I felt like that. I was putting that pressure on myself, because I feel like you see all these successful people, and people like idolize these crazy routines. But that they made that routine. Like, that's why it worked for them. So I think that's what I've realized that I'm doing. I don't really, mine's different right now, even weekly, even daily sometimes. But I'm trying to figure out what it is for me. And I think that's for me, that's the important thing, is to find what works for you, using these other people as reference, but not just following one. Because if you follow one, it'll probably not work. Because like you said, you're fitting yourself into a mold that's not meant for you. And you have to shift that mold and move it a little bit so it does fit what you need to do, right? So the takeaway from today is, if you're not waking up at 2:30 a.m., you are failing at life.
Yeah, you're failing. You're done.
Absolutely not. I don't think anybody should be up at 2:30 a.m., but you do you, Mark.
Unless you're up for a flight.
What do you think? Do you have anything you want to share about your routine? Or
No, I think you hit the nail right on the head. Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I'm definitely in the same boat as you. moving to the US has taught me something really interesting about routine. In the sense that when I was first making my decision to come over here, one of the key elements of that decision was the fact that I would have complete control over my time when I'm here in Philadelphia, at least. I don't have really any obligations to show up for. I don't have set work thing. I have some clients, but I get to schedule that in. So I'm in complete control of my schedule, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that's what I wanted. I thought I wanted complete control over my own time. But now that I'm in it, I found out that it is exactly not what I want.
Really?
I thought I wanted it. But now that essentially I have, nothing happening during my day, it feels like I'm floating around in like limbo. And I was like, okay, I'll get to that whenever. And it just creates procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
It creates kind of lackluster results. It creates a lot of laziness, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I found for myself. And that's the interesting thing about freedom, so to say. We always think, oh, I want more freedom. I want more this. I want more that. But the thing is, creativity doesn't come from freedom. Creativity comes from limitations, transcending those limitations, right? Limitations are the birthplace of creativity, right? And so if we had unlimited freedom and we could just do whatever we want at all times and have everything accessible to us, would we actually get anything done? Right? It's like Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the amount of time that you give it, right? Which is why, if someone says, okay, you have a project due in 2 months, you're not starting it. You're going to start it like a month from now at the very least, right? Or if you have an essay due in an hour, you will get it done.
Right.
And so I think as creatives, having deadlines is important, right? Having a routine, having a deadline, having a structure to follow, I think is incredibly important. And now that I'm here and I essentially don't have that, it's been tough, man. It's been really tough. Like I get up whenever because I don't have anything really to wake up for. Oh, well, that sounds really bad, but I don't have like any scheduled thing to wake up for. And so I just end up waking up. Oh, my body woke up at 11 today. Oh, I woke up at 9. Oh, I woke up at 7. It's usually 11, but I don't wake up early unless I need to drive my girlfriend to work, right? And I don't really get anything done unless I have another thing today that I need to get towards. And I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure it out. One thing that helped me when I was back home was like a workout class, and that gave me some structure in my day.
Have to
go.
Like,
right. I need to go to that because I'm paying for it. But here, it's like everything's flexible. And infinite flexibility, as I'm finding out, is actually not what I want.
So what are things, maybe steps you're taking towards creating those restrictions or I don't want to say restrictions, but like you said, deadlines or things like you feel like you have something to do. You can do it whenever, but shortening that time so it's not taking you 2 months. It could take you're going to do it today. What have you been doing to try to counteract that, if anything?
If I'm being completely honest, nothing.
That's fine.
If I'm being completely honest, I'm still figuring it out. I would like to say that I'm doing every Friday is a video, and I just put out a video on Friday, like today. Yeah. So I guess that's kind of there again. But
well, I guess I should ask you: do you want to start implementing that? Because it sounds to me like this is not you're finding it's not exactly the perfect fit. But what
I think I might do it like every 2 weeks. I think videos for me, I think the weekly content thing, I tried it for a little while, and I find that for the quality that I want to shoot for and for the quality that I want to shoot for, 1 week is not attainable for me to be able to create something that I'm genuinely proud of. And that's not like, oh, I need a video this week, let me BS something.
Exactly.
I find that I need at least a week or two,
This is a topic I wanted to talk. I was going to bring it up for today, actually. So next week, everybody, I've decided we're going to talk about this as quality versus quantity, especially in the age of TikTok specifically.
But that's such a... I could go into that topic.
There's a little teaser for next week. Anyway.
Yeah, there's a teaser for next week. So make sure that you tune in for next week so we can talk about it.
Yeah, but like... I mean, it sounds like we're in different places, but we're in similar places also. Like trying to you got to figure out what works. You have to fail to figure out what what works or what doesn't work, or
yeah,
how
and it's like
things. Yeah.
it's like this one quote that I shared from James Clear's newsletter on my story. If you're always winning, you're never learning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
If you're never failing, you're never learning. Right?
Yeah.
And so I think
that's
yeah.
it. Especially with this whole routine thing, I think, because it is so personalized. You need to figure out what it is for you. So I don't know if that's. I think it's good advice. I think it's good advice to take away
Totally.
from this. It's like we're not shoving anything down your throat because we don't have the answer. You need to figure it out what is for you. So if you, I guess, listener, if you feel like you can't find a routine that works for you, that's like already made up, and you're like, I try this, it doesn't work. I don't like waking up at 2:30 a.m. You know, you gotta try different things and figure out what works for you, and pick the aspects that work for you, because I think that's how you can actually master your routine, is figuring out it's there. There is something that works for you, but you just have to keep uncovering what it is, not stealing other people's. Yeah.
Yeah, and the key word is a routine that works for you, not you working for the routine. Yeah. Right? A routine that works for you, not against you. So yeah, go out there, find something that works for you, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Before you go, I've been writing down quotes. I know we talked about this one time.
Yes.
And I think I'd like to end maybe every once in a while with a quote, but this is good. This is from our dear friend Heinz. I love Heinz. I shared this on my story, but I think it's just so great. It's not really related to this, but I just think it's, you know what? I'm going to save this one for next week, but I will say another one by him. And this one is very simple. We are a living practice. We are a living practice. I'm not going to elaborate on that. You ponder that and decide what it means for you, but we are a living practice. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support the show, make sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Visit us on Instagram and TikTok at Let's Talk About Life Pod. And for more information, head on over to harrisonkingofficial.com/podcast. Now it's time for you to get out there and have a deep, meaningful conversation in your own life.